welcome to South Asia Today, a show that provides you the glimpses of South Asia. I'm your host Yeshi. Here are the headlines. US lawmakers fear Taliban and Al-Qaeda return post-troops withdrawal from Afghanistan. Yamaha holds skill development workshop for motorbike riders in Japan. And Hindu devotees across India mark Hanuman Jayanti amid COVID-19 fears. Let's begin the show. Apparently, nobody from the civil society in Afghanistan to the lawmakers in Washington is convinced with President Joe Biden's plan of withdrawing entirely from Afghanistan by 11th of September. Recently, a number of senators grilled Zalmay Khalilzad, Washington's special envoy to Afghanistan reconciliation, over possible repercussions, which they believe might reverse the progress made in the war-torn country.
Just days into President Biden's call of withdrawing completely from the war-torn country, prominent voices in the United States have started raising questions as to how feasible it will be to leave Afghanistan. Recently, lawmakers questioned President Joe Biden's envoy for Afghanistan on about how the administration plans to ensure women's rights if the hardline Islamist Taliban take control after US troops withdraw by September. A number of US Congress members have expressed skepticism about the plans to bring home the 2,500 remaining troops. They say they were worried the US departure would cede control to the Taliban, whose 1996-2001 rule severely curtailed activities for Afghan women.
What can you say publicly in terms of what the predictions are in terms of Taliban treatment of women should they take over the government? Again, personally, I'm concerned about public executions and other forms of brutality that will just be so incredibly offensive. And if that's the case, what do we do? Are we going to sit back and just watch that, wring our hands, and mourn the fact that we had made so much progress? And by the way, I think America and allies have to take pride in the progress that was made. I think that's probably our biggest concern here, is having all that progress be for naught.
Under the Taliban, women were barred from education or work, required to fully cover their bodies and faces, and could not leave home without a male relative. Moral offences were punished by flogging and stoning. When Biden made his announcement on April 14, he said the United States would continue providing assistance to Afghan security forces and to civilian programs, including those for women and girls. The September 11 deadline, which marks 20 years since the attacks on the United States that prompted Washington to go to war in Afghanistan, extended the US presence there beyond a May 1 deadline negotiated under Trump.
We don't have a good history of taking care of those who sided with us in conflict and making sure that if they feel they cannot sustain themselves in their country or unwilling to do so, that we take care of them. And that sends a global message. Don't fight with the Americans, because when they're finished, they leave you behind. That's not something we can tolerate.
Zalmay Khalilzad, Special Envoy for Afghanistan Reconciliation, while testifying before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, said with conviction that the whole exercise will be conducted in such a manner that Afghan system doesn't collapse post-withdrawal.
I don't personally believe that there will be an imminent collapse. I know there are others who've had a different view. I believe the choice that the Afghans face is between a negotiated political settlement or a long war.
Experts fear that a complete withdrawal could lead to the country erupting in a full-scale civil war, providing Taliban an opportunity to return. They also say that Afghan security forces have not reached a level of war competence where they can fight and defeat the Taliban and Al-Qaeda on their own. their limited capabilities have further been dampened by scant resources. Threats and attacks against civil society members and other champions of freedom of speech have already increased sharply in past few months, with fears of this freedom receiving the fiercest of blow if the hardliners make a comeback.
While humans have been battling with the COVID-19 pandemic, the birds too are struggling for survival amid fears of bird flu or avian influenza. The centre has requested the states and union territories to increase awareness regarding the safety of poultry and poultry products. Following the same, a bird flu awareness camp was organised in Srinagar so as to enable farmers to take appropriate measures to contain it.
What is bird flu? How it is transmitted? What significant steps we can take to protect the livestock from this influenza? And many more such questions were answered during the awareness camp that was held at Nishat area of Srinagar. Organised by Srinagar's Chief Animal Husbandry Officer and Poultry Development Office, the camp was attended by a number of poultry farmers and livestock breeders. At the camp, a trainer guided them about how to protect their birds from coming in contact with migratory birds. Printed materials containing a lot of information about bird flu was also distributed among them.
हमने एक अवेयरनेस कैंप किया है पीडीओ श्रीनगर की तरफ से, जिसमें हम एवियन इन्फ्लुएंजा जो बर्ड फ्लू है उसके बारे में अवेयरनेस कर रहे हैं लोगों को, क्योंकि लोकल्स को हमें यहाँ पे अवेयर करना है इस बारे में कि उनको कैसे प्रोटेक्ट करना है अपने बर्ड्स को माइग्रेटरी बर्ड्स के कांटेक्ट में आने से, क्योंकि ये जो एरिया है इसमें विसिनिटी में क्लोज है डल एरिया, तो जहाँ हमें पता है कि मोस्ट माइग्रेटरी बर्ड्स आते हैं। तो हम इनको यही अवेयर कर रहे हैं कि कैसे आप अपनी बैकयार्ड पोल्ट्री, या यहाँ पोल्ट्री फार्मर्स भी आए हैं जिनके पास कमर्शियल फार्म्स हैं, तो हम उनको अवेयर कर रहे हैं कि किस तरह से आप अपने बर्ड्स को बचा सकते हैं, क्या प्रिकॉशंस आपको लेनी है। जैसे ही अगर आपको अपने बर्ड्स में कोई सिम्टम साइन, क्या सिम्टम साइंस है वो किस तरह से आप देख सकते हैं, उसके बाद आपको रिपोर्ट करना है यहाँ पे। ये हम इनको यहाँ पे अवेयर कर रहे हैं इस बार में।
इन्होंने जानकारी दी है कि बर्डों के बारे में, कैसे बर्ड फ्लू फैलता है, कैसे दूसरा चीज़ फैलता है, बीमारी कैसे फैलती है, इनके लिए एहतियात कैसे बरतना है अब हमको।
Avian influenza, commonly known as bird flu, is a highly contagious viral disease that affects birds. The virus has many strains. While some of them are mild, others can be fatal. Moreover, the virus could also spread in domestic birds and large land mammals such as horses, pigs, sea mammals, chicken, turkey, ducks, and other poultry. Jammu and Kashmir, being home to 24 wetlands, in which 16 are in Kashmir and 8 in Jammu division, is highly prone to bird flu, as a number of migratory birds visit these wetlands from different parts of the world. Few among them, like bar-headed geese and gulls, are common carriers of this virus. In such a situation, human or poultry contact with wild or migratory birds needs to be strictly avoided, and for that, awareness is must. At present, several camps are being organized at various places in Srinagar as a part of the bird flu awareness campaign.
पिछले 1-1.5 महीने से पूरे इंडिया में बर्ड फ्लू का स्केयर है, ठीक है ना। और फिर अल्लाह का करम था, हमारे यहाँ खाली क्रोज में पाया गया था अभी तक ये बर्ड फ्लू वायरस, ठीक है ना। तो उस लिहाज से हमने एक अवेयरनेस कैंपेन स्टार्ट की है। चूँकि इस बर्ड फ्लू स्केयर में हम चाहते हैं कि लोगों को बिफोर हैंड हम अवेयर करें डिज़ीज़ के बारे में, कि डिज़ीज़ का क्या मसला है, किस वजह से होती है, कौन सा वायरस। आप मतलब ऐसे मीडिया में आपने सुना होगा एवियन इन्फ्लुएंजा वायरस जो है ये रेस्पॉन्सिबल है, ये सेम एवियन इन्फ्लुएंजा वायरस है, उसी का एक स्ट्रेन है जो आप देखते हो कॉमन फ्लू में या पैंडमिक फ्लू में, ठीक है ना, वही वायरस रेस्पॉन्सिबल है, उसी का एक स्ट्रेन है जो बर्ड फ्लू में के लिए रेस्पॉन्सिबल है।
With several parts of Jammu and Kashmir reporting cases of bird flu, such an initiative taken by authorities to create awareness among people is highly commendable.
Now we take a look at some happenings in Asia in a segment called Asia Watch. 25-year-old Afghan designer Maryam Yousufi picks up a pencil and carefully sketches her latest dress design in her Kabul home. Her clothes for women fuse Western style with traditional Afghan designs and range from about $12 to more than $100. Vendors like her are getting a boost from a locally grown e-commerce platform that connects them with customers around the world, an important opportunity for the war-torn economy. E-commerce site Click.af started in 2016 to give Afghans access to an online marketplace. Last year, it began shipping globally, according to its founder Maisula Staniksai. Yousufi jumped on the chance, having launched her fashion line called Machum on the site a few weeks ago, and has already received more than a dozen orders, including some from abroad. Economists say that despite poverty, corruption and poor infrastructure creating setbacks for Afghan e-commerce, it would give Afghan women greater opportunity to break into the world of business in conservative society. Yousufi, who works on her business at night after her day job in media is done, said she believes online platforms can give others like her a chance to try entrepreneurship. She said she hoped to grow her company in the future to a point where it would become synonymous with Afghan designs. On the eve of earthquake anniversary, when nearly 5 dozen people lost their lives 6 years ago, Nepali Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli inaugurated lately constructed Darahara Tower flattened in 2015. During the ceremony, COVID-19 protocols were seen flouted by inviting ministers and high-level officials despite surging cases of infection in the Himalayan nation. The Darahara, an iconic tower built first by Nepal's first Prime Minister Bhimsen Thapa, was brought down by the 2015 Gorkha earthquake. PM Oli had himself laid the foundation stone for the construction of a new Darahara on December 28, 2019. Later, Raman Construction Company Limited was awarded the contract for its construction. New Darahara has been built in the same architectural style as the old one, but with a larger diameter. It stands 72 meters tall with 22 stories. Bangkok Suvarnabhumi Airport has converted part of its check-in terminal into a COVID-19 vaccination center. The 42 check-in counters on the 4th floor of the facility are now processing vaccinations for airport staff, airline staff and immigration officials instead of airplane tickets. The venue opened for vaccinations on April 26 and is overseeing 1,000 vaccinations a day. The airport is in the process of preparing the facility to open to the public for vaccinations depending on the government directives. The government has ordered parks, gyms, cinemas and daycare centers in its capital, the epicenter of the latest wave of infections, to shut from April 26 until May 9. The country has reported a total of 61,699 since the pandemic began. Thailand plans to procure more vaccines from several producers with a vaccination goal of 300,000 doses per day to inoculate at least 50 million people by end 2021. About 100 South Korean athletes and coaches traveling to Tokyo for the Olympics this year received their first doses of COVID-19 vaccine as the country struggles to keep its inoculation drive on track amid supply shortages. Roughly 500 others will be vaccinated by the first week of May before they travel to Japan, the Korean Sport and Olympic Committee said. Overall, more than 900 people from South Korea's delegation will be vaccinated. Of those, 598 athletes and coaches will receive Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine, which requires a shorter interval between doses than the AstraZeneca shot, which will be provided to administrative staff as long as they are older than 30, the KSOC said. The games, pushed back by a year due to the pandemic, are set to run from July 23 to August 8 in Tokyo. Moving on, Japanese companies for the past many years have been laying immense stress towards improving people's lifestyle. On one hand, Yamaha has been creating a step-up structure to young motorbike riders and open a riding academy. On the other hand, Nisei has come up with a creative skill for soft ice cream producer, which is attracting lots of visitors and tourists in Japan. Have a look.
Motorbike riding is gaining immense popularity in Japan, especially among youngsters. For helping these newbies in learning motorbike riding efficiently, Yamaha Motor Sales has come up with a Yamaha Riding Academy where youngsters are taught the basics of motorcycle riding.
コロナ禍でやっぱり公共交通機関を避けてバイクでの移動、パーソナルコミューターとしての利便性といいますかね、良さが見直されているっていうのは間違いなくありまして、ニューカマーというかビギナーの方が結構入ってこられて、ビギナーの方に向けてのよりレベルの高いアドバイスをするための、カリキュラムの開発ということでヤマハライディングフィードバックシステムという、仕組みを開発した。
These motorbikes are used in the lesson. The bike can be equipped with a device that measures GPS logs to obtain data on position, speed, and acceleration during driving. During the lesson, riders to drive on test course with poles under the guidance of an instructor. In the corner part, a photo is taken. After the first run, the driving data is obtained from the measurement device and the instructor advises to the rider while driving. The measurement data displays the speed where it accelerated and how it is structured to turn corners to make it easier for the rider to understand. After listening to the instructor's advice, the rider starts drives again.
一定のスピードというか、コーナリングの部分で一定で走ってがばつかないように意識します。
ライダーの技量に合わせて、今のレベルを可視化して、じゃあどこを重点的にトレーニングしたらいいのかっていうメニューをきちっとアドバイスシートに出した中で、エビデンスを残しながら指導ができるというのが強みになりますので、やっぱり GPS ロガーを使って収集したデータを分析をしてでフィードバックする、ここのノウハウが強みになっているかと思いますね。生涯顧客化ということでバイクを楽しんでいただくための活動をこれからもやっていきたいなというふうに思っています。
Yamaha's accumulated know-how as a pioneer in motorsport contributes to riders around the world. Yamaha bike lesson will be held in China and Thailand as well. Next, we present you a soft ice cream called Hakai that has a unique relationship with Mount Fuji, the highest mountain in Japan. Oshino Hakai is a tourist spot at the foot of Mount Fuji. It has a pond with crystal clear water in it and is visited by number of tourists every year.
富士山、は溶岩でできている山になりますので、溶岩石というものは、大変水のろ過に向いているんですね。はい。なので20年かけてろ過された水なので、とても透明度の高いきれいな水が湧いております。
The place has a souvenir shop, Ikemoto, that sells Hakai soft ice cream introduced by Nisei. The ice cream has flavors like matcha, peach, and muscat. It tastes like ramune, which is similar to the taste of soda. Hakai soft ice cream became popular on SNS.
すごい透き通る青い感じとこの綺麗な青がマッチしてるかなって思います。
หอมรสชาติหวานอร่อยมากหวานมันมาก
推しの八海のイメージ、 富士山の湧き水でできた池、忍野八海の水をイメージして、透き通った青、そして爽やかな清らかな水、爽やかな味をイメージしてラムネ味として八海ソフトを提供しております。まずラムネの原料があって、であとはバニラを元にしてるんですけど、それとそれを混ぜ合わせてまず色を出す、そして味がどうなるか、忍野八海のイメージとなるようなところで、そこが一番苦労しましたね。コロナ禍なんですが、これが落ち着きましたら、ぜひ忍野八海に来ていただいて、この綺麗な水と、あとは澄んだ空気をまず感じていただきたいと思います。
Japanese company Nesai's effort to develop characteristic soft ice cream to make customers and foreign tourists happy.
Moving on to our cultural section, in which we take you to the different parts of India where Hindu devotees recently marked the annual festival of Hanuman Jayanti amid the raging coronavirus pandemic. The event were largely silent owing to COVID-induced restrictions. Hanuman Jayanti is a significant Hindu festival that marks the birth anniversary of Lord Hanuman, who is believed to put an end to the miseries and hardships of his followers. Hindu devotees in several parts of India offered prayers from outside temples on the occasion of Hanuman Jayanti to mark the birth anniversary of Hindu god Lord Hanuman due to the deteriorating COVID-19 situation across the country. On this day, devotees usually observe a day-long fast, perform puja by offering vermilion or red cloth with flowers like marigold, visit the temple and carry out processions and religious gatherings. Various kinds of foods, sweets, coconut and flowers are also offered to Lord Hanuman and distributed to his followers as prasad. Every year the festival is celebrated in a grand manner, but this year, due to coronavirus that has particularly strained the health system of the entire country in the past 3 weeks, most of the temples were shut.
जो सेफ्टी के रखे गए हैं मंदिर की तरफ से, प्रशासन की तरफ से बहुत अच्छे रखे गए हैं और आज हनुमान जयंती की सबको आपको हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं। दूसरा, मैं तो हर मंगलवार आता हूँ, पिछले 10 साल से आ रहा हूँ और ये भगवान की जो मर्जी है इसके आगे तो कोई टिक नहीं सकता। हम तो सबको भाई बहनों को चाहते हैं कि अपने अपने घरों में रहें और भगवान सब पे कृपा करे और कोरोना काल को नाश करे और यही चाहते हैं जो सेफ्टी के तौर पे मंदिर को बंद किया गया, बस यही मैं कहना चाहता हूँ।
The festival is marked every year on the occasion of Chaitra Purnima, observed on the full moon day in the month of Chaitra, as per Hindu almanac that usually falls in the months of March or April. In Jabalpur city, devotees were seen maintaining social distance while offering prayers in the temple. Most temples and local administrations have imposed restrictions on movement and gatherings for festival in light of rapidly rising cases of coronavirus.
उनको समझाइश दी गई है कि वो सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग का पालन करें और चूंकि कोरोना बड़ी तेज़ी से शहर में फैल रहा है, लोगों को सुरक्षित रहना पुलिस का दायित्व है, तो उनको समझाइश दी गई है कि वो घर में रह के अपनी पूजा अर्चना करें और भीड़ का हिस्सा न बनें।
Hindu Lord Hanuman is a symbol of vitality and strength. He is also believed to help devotees get rid of evil influences. In Hindu epic Ramayana, Hanuman helped his master Lord Ram to annihilate the kingdom of Sri Lanka, headed by Ravan, who had kidnapped his wife Sita and enabled her rescue. It's time for me to wrap up today's episode. We will be back next week at the same time. This is Yeshi signing off on behalf of the entire production team of South Asia Today. Goodbye and take care.